Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Tracy, and this is our channel, Retirement in Color. And in today's video, we're going to talk about things that we wish we knew about moving to Alabama. And if you're watching our channel, you know that we're originally from Phoenix, and we just moved out here to Alabama. So we want to talk about the things not so good, and also the things that are really good that we just didn't know before we moved to Alabama. Oh, and I do also want to mention that we do have a lot that we want to talk about. So we do have notes. If you see our eyes go down, we're just looking at our notes because we want to make sure that we give you the full list.
Liquor. I guess the state needs its cut. So we're used to in Arizona when we went to a liquor store or we went to a grocery store, we just went down the liquor aisle and picked up what we needed. But here in Alabama, you can't buy hard liquor in a grocery store. You have to go to a state store or a liquor store where the state gets a piece, or even Costco has its own little room for liquor. It's a little bit of adjustment. You don't have quite the selection. I mean, you've got plenty. I mean, there's still an easy 1,000 bottles to choose from in a state liquor store. We're just used to Total Wine and More, where you might have 5,000 bottles to choose from. And there's some other blue laws, like we went once to a grocery store and we saw Tracy's favorite wine coolers, and we went to put them on the counter. We couldn't buy them because it was a Sunday, which in that particular store wasn't allowed. In other counties or other stores, you can buy beer and wine on a Sunday. Just getting to know these little laws that are a little bit different here.
Bugs. There are so many bugs here, and I think we knew coming out here that there were going to be a lot of bugs, but I just never realized to what extent we were going to be dealing with the bugs. Don't leave your porch light on at night if you go out, because when you come home, all the bugs are going to be waiting for you by the door, and as soon as you open the door, they're all going to be flushing in the house. But I did buy a really cool gadget on Amazon, and you can see that here. It's a little blue light, and it has sticky paper, and it catches the bugs. This is just the amount of bugs that we've caught in 1 week. But ants, we've had major problems with ants also, but my friend taught me a trick to get rid of those. And what you want to do is mix 1 part borax with 3 parts of sugar, make a paste with water, and then roll some cotton balls in that paste and then leave those out. I left them out on a little jar lid, and the next day, all the ants were gone. But spiders, I've never seen so many spiders. We have spider webs everywhere. In fact, I think Joe came through with a broom and cleaned all the spider webs off of our porch before we filmed, but we probably have spiders on us now as we're talking. But also every week I am vacuuming the insides of our windowsills because, and I'm not talking about in between the house and the window, it is on the inside of the window. So I just have to run a vacuum over there because there's just so many dead bugs. I think they were just trying to escape the house. So Joe has found some mitigation attempts to get rid of the bugs.
Yeah, so we haven't done some of these things, but I'm learning that lemongrass is a good one, and lavender. You can plant those things, and bugs seem to hate them. Another thing that I've learned is we're going to put up a martin house for birds this year this winter when they drop the lake down. This is a type of bird that migrates here, and they eat the mosquitoes. So we'll be putting a martin house on our lake shore over the winter, so that next year when it's mosquito season, they'll help us with that problem. We're always looking for environmentally friendly ways and safe ways to mitigate the pest problems where possible. Another thing that's new to us being in the South is the number of snakes. And there's snakes. There's good and there's bad snakes. Bad snakes, you can call somebody and somebody will come pick them up if you don't want to. And different people handle them different ways. I've got neighbors who eliminate them. Others will call and have them picked up. That's a personal choice. But there's also good snakes. We've got one of our friends here. He's a 10-foot long rat snake. We've seen him up by the house a few times or in the water by the boathouse. And they're immune to snake venom, and they will fight to the death and take care of. So we haven't seen any bad snakes here. My Facebook feed is full of help me identify this stuff groups because I want to be aware of what's what. But so far, all I've seen are good snakes here.
Right. But a snake is still a snake. I don't like them. I'm learning to live with them. But since we did have one kind of up by the front door, now before I take our dog Augie for a walk in the morning, I kind of peer out the front windows just to make sure there isn't our little buddy waiting for me when we go out there. But squirrels. There are so many squirrels out here. Well, maybe you guys originally from the South don't think there are a lot of squirrels, but being from Arizona, we didn't have squirrels.
In the city.
Yeah, in the city. There's just a lot of them. And yeah, they're cute, but man, those little boogers can eat through anything. We have an ammo case that's hard plastic that we store our bird food in to restock the bird feeder. And one day I'm sitting in the living room and I look out the window and I see the squirrel on top of it. And then I see his head go inside and like, how is he getting his head inside that ammo case? So I open the door, shoot him off, and I see that he gnawed a huge hole through that hard plastic of the ammo case. So was not expecting that.
So we have learned that mothballs, squirrels don't like the smell of them or something. So we've put mothballs in like the barbecue grill and inside our the storage underneath on the boat, so that they don't get in and gnaw at your wiring harness for your boat or things like that, because yeah, they're real and they're a problem. And while we're talking about squirrels, that's just one of the many kinds of wildlife that we see here. We live on the end of in the middle of a 4-mile cul-de-sac, and we drive in 3 miles to get to our house, and we drive through a lot of forested area, and we see lots of wildlife along that road, deer and turkey being the most prevalent. Let me have Tracy tell you about her bad beaver story.
We're driving out and Joe's like, what is that? Is that a beaver? And I look, my window is rolled up, mind you. I look out the window and I see this beaver at us through the window. So yeah, there's beaver here.
And we see lots of other things, but most of them are just roadkill. We haven't seen like a possum yet actually in the wild. We have seen eagles. There's an eagle who likes to sit in our tree behind our porch and watch for the fish. We're a little worried about him because we have a small dog, so that's a horse of another color. But the amount of wildlife here is amazing and fun, and we really enjoy that part of this life.
I hope you don't mind that I'm going to tell my wildlife story. So
no, not that kind of wildlife.
No. So Augie, our dog, he usually gets me up anywhere between 6 and 7 for his morning walk. So of course I peer out the window to make sure there's no snakes waiting for me or wild dogs. And we come out and I hear this noise. It's like a really loud noise. And then it's answered by several in the background. And I'm like, okay, do I need to be concerned about this noise? So I always have my cell phone with me when I'm taking Augie for a walk. So I call Joe and I say, Joe, come to the front door and listen to this noise and tell me if you know what it is. So he's like, okay. So anyways, I take Augie for his walk and I turn around and come back and I see Joe standing in the driveway in his underwear with a gun.
Well, she heard a noise. She didn't know what it was. Anyhow, so she described the noise to me. And I was pretty sure, so I just Googled the noise and played it back for her. Is this what you heard? And it was just deer calling each other.
Yeah.
Sounds more like a cow mooing.
It was pretty, when you're not used to hearing that noise, it was kind of scary a little bit. Roaming dogs. Now, mind you, this is something that I'm not complaining about. This is just something that's new to us. In Arizona, especially where we lived in an urban part, we had block fence walls for our backyard. So your dogs were contained in your yards. But out here in the open, there are just so many roaming dogs. We have a friendly one that lives across the street that our dog just loves to go and see. And she loves to come and visit us also. But then there's other ones, like one time I came home and there's this dog that he looked like the dog across the street and he was barking at me. And I'm like, that's not the dog across the street. And then I noticed that the collar was different, but he's barking at me as I'm trying to get in my front door. So that was kind of scary. So just the factor of not knowing these dogs and if they're friendly and we have a small dog, are those dogs going to eat our dog? It's just definitely something to get used to, is the amount of roaming dogs. Oh, and just driving down the roads, you have to be careful because there might be dogs in the middle of the road.
Gunshots. That's another thing that's different here. In the city we lived before, you hear gunshot and it was something to be concerned about. Well, here you hear gunshots and it's nothing to be concerned about usually. And if it is, you don't want to concern yourself with it anyway. But people hunt, people sight in their guns, and the sound of a gun report across the lake will carry. So it may be much further away than it initially sounded. But gunshots are something that's different here, and they're just a part of life.
Trash on the side of the road. This one just makes me so sad. I have never encountered so much trash on the side of the road. And I one time, Sadie and we were having lunch at Wendy's, and I was sitting facing the window overlooking the parking lot. And I saw this car, and all of a sudden, this person lobs out a bag of trash through their driver's window into the parking lot and then just drives off. So just things like that just really make me sad. I did one day see somebody out parked alongside of the road and picking up trash. So that was really nice to see. But other than that, the amount of trash on the side of the road here is just something that's really sad.
And we've picked up some here and there. We've also, we keep a large pool net on our boat. So when we see something in the lake, we pick it up. The weather in the South is something we're getting used to. It's constantly changing. We look at our weather app on our phone at least 3 times a day.
A lot.
We've put a barometer back in the backyard so we can actually get a more detailed weather report for our own property, because we're still a few miles from where they're reporting from. And we get alerts for weather, if it's lightning, exactly how far away from your house is. It's kind of cool, but the weather, and it changes so quickly. We have been here for just over 4 months now, and there has not been a week yet where we didn't have rain sometime during that week. And that rain is a good thing because everything is so green and beautiful, but it's something that's different. In Arizona, we had 7 days a year when it rained, and the weather changes so quickly that you just have to be aware of it and conscious of it and plan for that. So sometimes we don't go out on the boat because it has a high probability of rain, and then it doesn't rain. And we think, oh man, we could have gone. But the weather is something else that we're getting used to.
And yesterday, the rain came in so fast with the wind, and we noticed that there was a boat out in our slough, but they weren't leaving, which was very weird. And we could see the wall of weather coming across the slough.
So I walked down to the boathouse and flashed a flashlight towards them so that they'd see, because it was kind of almost dark in the middle of the day because of the rain. And then they saw, and then they came and tied up to our boathouse and weathered the storm there. They didn't want to come in, but that's okay. But yes, the weather changes quickly.
So speaking of the weather, let's talk humidity. So yes, we knew it was going to be humid here, but I guess you don't know it until you live it, especially for 2 people from a dry climate. Somebody told us when we got here that humidity is the air you wear. And yes, it definitely is. It makes the hot days hotter. It makes the cold days colder. But I have to say, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it at all. Yeah, it does sometimes make you want to take a shower twice a day, but we have the lake that we can go cool off on. And I have to say, though, it does make my spices, like I'll have to go in with a knife and like mix up my spices because my spices stick together in the humidity. But if I had my choice of living in humid weather or dry weather, and I know people say, but it's a dry heat, I'm kind of like in the humidity.
And they say it's good for your hair and skin too.
Yes.
So, trees. We have just over an acre of land, and we probably have some 200 trees on our property. So every time I walk the land, I have to look about the little trees that are growing up, because if you don't take care of them when they're really small, then you have to deal with them bigger, and that's more hassle. Sometimes you just run over them with a lawnmower. Sometimes you got to cut them down, but I don't want another tree growing close to an existing tree, so it would strangle its roots and cause me bigger problems later. You have to look up in the trees and make sure that, hey, there's still leaves growing on that tree, because if it's not, you might have to plan to remove that tree or fall it properly so that it doesn't do damage as it begins to die, or maybe I could figure out how to revive it. I don't know yet. And you have to watch, like on our shoreline in the riprap, trees are constantly springing up in there, and they got to control that growth because of the water raising and lowing. The root rot, those trees won't survive. So you want to take care of them while they're little. So yeah, trees are beautiful and nice to have around, but you also want to keep them trimmed to a level so that you have a clear view of the lake. So it's just another maintenance thing that I never thought about that's real.
And you've pulled out so many tree trunks from the lake, because when the lake water, the levels change, it seems that there's always more trees that.
Yeah, things wash ashore.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to pull that stuff up onto dry land. Actually, have to be more careful when I was doing that. One time I was pulling up one that was pretty heavy, and I was trying to grip it, and I lost my footing, and boom, I hit my head on a riprap. So I got to be more careful as I do that. Mm-hmm. But it is a constant thing to worry about with these trees.
Nicknames. Living out here, you're going to be called anything but your name. You're going to be called Sweet Pea, Sugar, Baby, Honey Love, but it's all done out of respect. Everybody is so polite out here. I mean, especially the younger generation.
They don't use the nicknames, but
no, but they're like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. I mean, so helpful. And speaking of, polite, and everybody is just so friendly out here. We'll be working out in our front yard, and a car will go by and they'll be honking and waving, and we haven't met everybody yet. So we wave back because, we want to feel we love being a part of the community, and we love that people are just so welcoming to us out here.
If you're watching this and you're hooked by it, you see us outside, feel free to stop, say hi. Another thing that's different in the South is meat and three. I don't know if you know what that is back from out west, but the restaurants here, they have a few different meat selections and then a variety of sides you choose from. So it's not like at a normal restaurant we're used to, where you pick one of 80 items on the menu that includes your entree and your sides. It's a meat and three. You pick a meat, and you pick 1, 2, or 3 sides, and sometimes your dessert is a side. And I love some of those sides, and I begin to eat some things that I'm not used to eating, like, let me think, cream corn is one, fried okra, deep fried everything, hush puppies. The meat and threes are really, and they're inexpensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, average price at a meat and three here is under $12. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes includes your drink. You can't get fast food for that. So I really like the meat and threes here.
Yeah, we definitely been eating a lot less fast food since we've been here, maybe more towards a meat and three, because you can kind of get a little bit of a healthier selection. And what's also nice is those menus change daily. So it's not the same meats and the same sides at most restaurants. Some of them
might
are.
do a whole video just on the meat and threes.
Yeah.
Because some are so much better than others.
Let's keep on the topic of food. Being from Arizona, we love our Sonoran style Mexican food. And out here, we've been to some very good Mexican restaurants, but I just haven't found the comparable style of Mexican food that I have come to love.
I think that she's used to Sonoran Mexican food. Mexico is like the United States. It has many different states. Well, near southern Arizona, there's a state called Sonora. And the style that we were used to was that style of Mexican food. Here, a close state would be Oaxaca. And that's more the style of food here, so it's different.
Right. But one of the good things that has come out of this is I've started cooking more of the Mexican style that we like. In fact, I did find an awesome YouTube channel, Cooking con Claudia. She's from Phoenix. I just love the flavors that she uses, and I did buy her cookbook on Amazon. I can link it down below. But I am loving making like chili Colorado at home and learning how to use dried chilies and so forth. And luckily, I am able to find the dried chilies out here, which leads me into my next topic, which is grocery shopping. It is very different here. I'm used to shopping at Fry's back in Arizona. Fry's is Kroger. So there's Kroger out here, but not the actual stores. You can only get Kroger delivery. And we do see the Kroger delivery trucks coming up and down the road a lot. But I'm just not used to grocery delivery. I am a visual person. I like to walk the aisles. I like to see what's on sale. I like to look at the meats. So I have not done that. So in turn, we have to visit multiple grocery stores to get what we want. For instance, the best place to buy meats around here is our little grocery store in Ragland. It's called Food Barn. People drive there for their meats, and they do have wonderful meat.
And they have a butcher on staff who does their fancy cuts for you at anything you want.
We'll go there for our meats, and then we'll pretty much go to Walmart for everything else. And let me tell you, I have never shopped at Walmart so much in my life.
Walmart, Home Depot, and Tractor Supply, we hit a lot.
Yeah.
And there's Publix.
Right, there is Publix. Publix is a little bit pricier than other grocery stores, but they do have some great buy one, get ones each week. So I'll peruse those. Those tend to be more of the processed foods or frozen foods, that kind of thing. So I'll peruse those, and maybe we'll go and pick up buy one, get ones. But there's also stores out here that are called, well, they're different names, but basically they're cost plus 10. So basically you're paying the cost of the item plus 10%. And we've done those maybe once or twice. I haven't really felt the need to go back to one of those yet because they don't seem to carry everything that I need. But I have to say, I did buy our Easter ham at one of them, and it was probably the best ham I've ever had. But definitely grocery shopping a lot different here.
And, errands are not fast when you're doing it, when you're living here. We're used to where we were before. There were at least 3 grocery stores within a mile of our house, plus fast food, plus gas stations, convenience stores. Everything was within a mile of our house. Here, the closest thing is 10 miles away, and it's rural road, so you're not driving 80 miles an hour. You shouldn't be driving 80 miles an hour. So yeah, errands are not quick here.
No.
You have to plan your days.
And whenever we go somewhere, you have to add 40 minutes on top of it because it's 20 minutes to get anywhere from our house and 20 minutes back. So wherever you go, it's also of an extra 40 minutes.
Another thing that's really nice about the South is people remember you.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sense of community. You're walking down the street and people wave, but it's more than that. They approach you and talk to you. We were at a street fair not too long ago, and somebody walks up and says, "You make a decision yet?" And it took me a minute to realize that he was the guy that I'd talk to about purchasing a specific brand of weed eater from. But they remember you, or people see us from our YouTube channel. That's happened more and more. The other day, we were checking out a place to board our dog when we go on our next cruise, and the person who was helping us, giving us the tour, her mother lives on our street, and so she's on our street all the time, and they watch our YouTube channel. And it was just, people remember you, and you feel like we're becoming part of the community now.
Holidays. Down here in the South, the holidays just feel something like out of a Hallmark movie, which I just love. For instance, we went to a block party here at the beginning of summer, and I think it just reminded me of my upbringing growing up in the Midwest. Families just enjoying the music and the amusement rides, and they had 4 stages with music playing, and I just love those community things. And we also they had some street festival in a town by us, just a small town festival, and you could tell like all the shop owners and the restaurant owners and all the families just coming out and enjoying their day. And I think the thing that I really loved about it is that it was in the summertime, and we couldn't do things like that in Arizona, enjoying festivals and street fairs. And because in the summertime in Arizona, you're pretty much inside in your air conditioning or laying in the pool. But we also went to a friend's house for 4th of July picnic, and that was fun. The neighbors across the other side of the river, they put on this huge fireworks show. Like Joe thinks they spent
at least $20K.
Yeah.
I mean, it was as good as some municipalities' fireworks shows, and that's just a house party.
Right. They had a barge, and they put the barge in the river, and they shot their fireworks from that. And that was
a solid
just
22 minutes of fireworks that were professional grade fireworks.
Right. And at 4th of July here, since it was on a weekend, but I do believe even if it wasn't on a weekend, it would be the same way. They had 3 nights of fireworks in a row. So the one night we went to the potluck and saw the fireworks from the barge. The next night, Joe and I, for the first time, we took our boat out at night to a local marina. They were shooting fireworks from there, and it was just so awesome. We anchored our boat. We did that for the first time also. And we were just on our boat and bobbing and floating and watching the fireworks. And it was heaven, but it was also kind of scary because it was pitch black by the time the fireworks were totally done, and we had to come home, no moonlight, so we really couldn't see what was ahead of us. I had to use a flashlight a little bit to light up the water.
We have technology on the boat that shows us where we've been, so I could just follow my breadcrumbs on my GPS and drive, so I didn't have to see the side, but it was weird not being able to see the side.
And it felt like forever coming back.
Yeah, we did drive a lot slower, but that's just being safe.
But because of all this, I am just really, really looking forward to Christmas and see what that has in store for us here.
Oh, I don't think we're going to be here for Christmas, but
we'll be here for the Christmas season.
Okay.
So
another thing I love about being in the South is when you need help, it shows up in a hurry. If you call a friend, they're there in a minute. If like the water meter had a little leak, and it actually had been going on for a while, but when I finally called, within an hour, somebody was here fixing it. Or we called a contractor who'd help us with a house build, and within an hour or so, they were here to fix the problems. And in the South, it is just so friendly, and people are so people conscious. You're not just a number to people. It's just, if you need help, it's there in a hurry, and we love that. Another thing about the South that's a little different is there's a whole new vernacular and language. If you get directions, in the city, you say go 3 blocks or a mile and a half, and then you turn left. Well, here they use words like go up there a spell or down a piece, and these words actually have meanings. We're starting to understand them better, but or they use colloquially. colloquialisms. Yeah, I can't even say it. In Spanish, it's dichos. But there's lots of words like as the crow flies and that dog won't hunt. And you just, the whole nother language that's within the language that is just a part of everyday speech here. And it's quaint and it's cute and it's fun to experience. And we're beginning to pick up that a little bit.
Right. My favorite one, for instance, is everything out here is a buggy. So a buggy can be your shopping cart. Could it be a car? Have people called their cars a buggy before?
Not their cars so much, but the golf carts.
Golf carts. At the potluck, I heard a husband ask his wife if she wanted a buggy for her chicken. And then I saw him take one of those paper boat plate type things and hand it to her. So that was a buggy for her chicken. And it's just hilarious. Joe's trying to get me to use that word all the time, but I keep telling him I'm not going to use the word buggy.
I use the buggy when I got to haul wood from that I pull out of the lake up to the firewood pile, or chop wood up and move it down to the fire pit. You know, buggy's everything.
Yeah, but I also have to say that it did take me a while to understand very thick Southern accents, especially with the older generation, because I think right now there's just such a blend of people here. You know, there's not, some people have accents, some people don't, but the older generation, I really do sometimes have a hard time understanding what they're saying.
Yeah, they have vowels. Some vowels they forget. They totally skip in a word, or other vowels become drawn out for a second, all the way up to a week. It's just the Southern way of speaking is just different. But one of my favorite things about the South is the sunsets. I was always taught, and I loved Arizona sunsets. The Arizona sunsets were the best. But when we picked this property, we saw this at sunset, and we loved it because of the sunset. And many nights, most nights, I walk down the front yard down to the boathouse and go sit on the swing that we have out there just to enjoy the sunset. And every night, the sunset is different. Some nights they're not as spectacular because there's no clouds, or there's too many clouds, so you really can't see the light. But some nights it's just a show, and it just constantly changes. It's 1 minute it's just a little bit of color, and then it gets darker, or sometimes after the sun goes, it starts a whole new show as the sky lights all those vibrant colors. But the sunsets here are spectacular, and people tell us we live on the best part of the lake for the sunsets, and I tend to believe them because I love the show almost every day.
So those are the things that we didn't know before we moved here to Alabama. But even so, if you were to ask us, do we regret this move to Alabama? Our answer is a huge no. We are loving it here.
There are things we miss, like family and close friends.
Yes.
But we're making new friends quickly.
Right. And we're just loving the rural lifestyle and the lake lifestyle, and we are just so glad to be here. And we want to thank you for watching today's video. And if you want to see more, I'm going to link another video here. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.